This video is sponsored by Squarespace. We've seen the making of the pink floral corset top, and at the end of that video I mentioned that I might wear it to Castlefest this year. That's kind of like a Ren Fair style festival in the Netherlands, and I actually really like that idea. I think I'm gonna run with it. However, I think it needs a complementary costume for my son. Because how cute would it be if we did a little kind of like matching mommy and son costume? So that's what we're gonna do this week. I'm gonna use all fabrics from my stash. I'm gonna see what I can find and what we can come up with. I have a little bit of an idea of the direction I want to come in. I kind of want to lean into the floral kind of fairy woodland sprite type thing. The one pitfall with this is I need to try and not make it too girly. So what I'm thinking right now is to make him a leaf cloak or cape, maybe more like. Just basically a huge leaf that he can wear, like he's wrapped in it. I think that would be adorable. And then some kind of headwear. Now let's start by gathering some fabric, seeing what we have, and that might inspire me further. But I'm really loving this idea. Some kind of headwear I think is going to be essential to sell the look, because he's probably going to be in a stroller or a baby carrier. When he's in the carrier, we can of course put the leaf over top of it, but I feel like the headwear is probably going to be the most visible throughout the entire day, if he's willing to keep it on, of course. You never know. Okay, let's gather some fabric first. Perfect. Blue linen. It's a nice and light material. That's too synthetic. You know what would be ideal if I had some green linen left? I used to have some, but I might have used all of it up. This could work. It's a cotton. These are all smaller pieces of fabric, but another green I could use. I think this is the remainder of my green linen. Yeah, that's not gonna be enough. Purple. Found this. Definitely usable. Yeah, and then I have a bunch of whites, but I don't think that's really the way I want to go. Staying away from pinks. Okay, but we have some blues, we have some greens, we have this purple that I may or may not use. I think we can get something made with this. Alrighty, here is my leaf fabric, and I've brought up one of these so that I can kind of estimate the size of this, because I don't want it to be too big. Thinking maybe it could be a little bit tall, like maybe knee length on him would be a good size. Do we just fully freehand this? I think we do. Grabbed a piece of chalk. So we're gonna have to do a little neckline up top here and then leaf. I think that's pretty cute. And then it's gonna have, of course, a vein down the center, like that. And a few veins, no, maybe this direction. A few veins coming off of that. And I'm gonna embroider those, I think. That's gonna be really cute. Let me cut this out with some seam allowance so that it turns out this size. Cute! All right, it needs some ties. I think I'm gonna go for this one. Maybe, or is a wider tie better? No, I think this one's good. So I'm gonna have two ties coming out of here. Gonna make them a little longer. Actually, I'm gonna make them really long because I might wanna tie this, like cross it in the front and tie it behind his back. Rather than have it tied around his neck. I think that's a much safer option. So I'm gonna make these nice and long, demonstrate, so that it ties, like it comes out from here and it crosses and then ties behind his back right there. That's much safer than having it tie like that. So the ties need to be pinned to the inside so that once I turn this inside out, they end up on the outside. So I'm going to make sure to line it up to the edge of the neckline here. I'm just going to pin around the perimeter of this leaf. I'm going to pin everything except for the neckline. I'm going to leave that open, and that's where I'm going to flip the whole thing inside out once I'm ready to do that. So just going to go ahead, pin all around, then sew along this line that I drew. And then we can turn it inside out and start the embroidery. So now if we turn this inside out through the neckline, we should already see, hopefully, a pretty cute leaf cape shaping up. I'm gonna go ahead and iron this, make sure that the seam is nice and flat, and then I think I'm gonna top stitch along this edge just so that it's a nice and neat finish. And as I'm doing this, I'm also going to fold in the collar and top stitch that closed so that we'll have a nicely finished garment here. And I'm also going to just pop out this very tippy top here with a knitting needle. Because we want a nice and sharp end here. Before we continue with the costume, a little word from today's sponsor, as this video is very kindly sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is the place to go if you ever need to build yourself a website for yourself, for your business. Their Blueprint AI system makes it really simple to build your website from scratch. It basically helps you build a custom template made just for you based on some information about you, your brand, and what it is that you're looking for in your website. It can even get you started with some content already filled in by the AI system. And then from there you can go in, customize everything yourself. So all you have to do is the fun part, the really fun creative part of making the website, adding your photos, changing the colors, moving things around. It's a very intuitive drag and drop system on the back end. So literally anyone can do this and it's really fun to play around with. Or you could actually start from one of the many ready-made templates that they have on their website that you can choose from and then customize in the same way. They have some wonderful features if you're looking to sell stuff through your website, whether it's physical products or digital products. They have tools that help you with shipping, processing of orders, but also tools that help you set up content behind the paywall, for example. So it's definitely worth checking out if you're looking to put yourself out there on the internet, create a visually beautiful and highly functional website. So you can head to squarespace.com, start your free trial, and then once you're ready to launch your website, you can head to squarespace.com/Loepsie and use code Loepsie to get 10% off of your first purchase of a website or domain. Okay, so what I want to do for this headdress, I'm thinking a flower upside down on his head. I think that would be so cute. I've seen these made out of felt before. I don't think I've seen a fabric one, but I'm sure we can do it. And it's gonna be so cute and it's gonna look great with the leaf as well. I went out and bought some wire here so that we can shape these petals a little bit. And I brought up Floris's hat so that I have a bit of an idea of the size. I don't want it to fall over his eyes because then he's not gonna want to wear it. I was gonna use this linen, but then I think with this cotton that I ended up using for the cloak, I think this blue actually goes better with it. It's a bit more saturated. This blue is a bit more gray and I feel like it just doesn't go as well. And this is also the same type of fabric, so I think this will just go together a bit more nicely. So what I'm thinking is doing maybe 5 flower petals, doing the top and then a little stem on like a springy little stem. I think that would be really cute. Probably gonna have to measure this hat to find out how big to make my petals here. Okay, that looks to be about 50 centimeters. So if I do 5 petals, then I think making them 12 centimeters each so that they overlap a little would be good. Coming from the center of the hat and then out. Not very much longer than this, I think, actually. Maybe 22. That's already pretty big, actually. Well, let's try and we'll see how this turns out. Let me grab my French curve. I think maybe for this actually it would be easier to use my scissors. So now I'm gonna cut this out 5 times. That's 2. 3. 4. 1 more. Okay. This is not a shape that makes sense for a hat, is it? Well, I mean, they could overlap, of course. Yeah, I just realized that everything I've done makes no sense at all because I measured here and then I completely disregarded this bit. So this fits around this, like width-wise. But what I could do is actually have it run around the rim like this, and then on the top I will just do the green bits. But I do think I need to shorten them in that case because it's very long right now. I think it's gonna be too big. So I'm gonna cut a few centimeters off the top and just do it like that. I think I'm gonna make the individual petals first and then I'll worry about attaching them onto the green like top part. So I'm gonna cut out my wires, I think. No, not yet. First, I'm gonna stitch along the edge on each of these individual panels so that I can turn it inside out and we have clean edges on the outside. Then I'll go in with my little wires. Okay, let's do it. My petals are ready for now. I think I should move on to doing the top first before I move on with the petals because I need to know where to start and end the wire so that it's not too long. I don't want it to kind of like be around his entire head. So I noticed that this hat is pretty much the same circumference as this thing. So I'm just going to use this thing to trace the center of the hat. And I'm leaving some room around it because I want to make more petals on the top as well. So I will cut this out and then these petals will attach to this inner circle right here. Fingers crossed this works. Alright, same thing. I'm gonna stitch around the edge and then we'll be back. I have the top, I have my petals, and I cut out this little like round shape in the center so that they actually align with the top of the hat. So it's gonna go a little something like this, but I'm gonna need to make more petals to fill in this. I just completely didn't do the right shape. I'm thinking I should have maybe started with an actual hat pattern rather than just winging all of it, but I have to say winging it is quite fun. I'm having a good time here. I also just realized I basted along this line, but that was too soon because I still need to insert my wires here. So I'm gonna do 5 more petals that are gonna be maybe half this size, just to fill up this space here. I'm not gonna do any wires in those, I think. They should lay on top of these and kind of be held up by the wires that are in there. So let me grab my fabric. So I want them to be shorter, but they do need to be quite wide because this is quite a bit of width to cover. Or maybe more like a droplet shape. So I'm gonna cut out 5 of these again. Do the same things I've done with the other one. So stitch the 2 sides together, flip it inside out, and then hopefully we can finally insert the wires and start assembling the whole thing. So I'm really excited to try this on Flawless and see how it actually fits, if it fits at all. I really hope it does. I mean, as quick as that leaf cloak was to make, this is taking a lot of time. But it's okay. It's fun and it's gonna be adorable. It's beginning to look like a hat. It took me a while to figure out how to go from the like basically flat sun shape to a hat, but turns out the key is to attach the petals together. Yeah, I tried it on Flawless, it fits perfect. It's almost finished. One last thing I want to do is to create a little stem with a little spring in it. I think that would be really cute. And I was thinking, how do I make this comfortable and safe? Because I don't want just the cut end of a wire to kind of be poking into his head. And I also don't want it to flop over. So I have a little cork here. I cut off the top of it so that it's flat. And I feel like if I attach that up top, it's already much more stable. And then I can just stick the wire into the cork so that there's no sharp part sticking out of the bottom. attach this to the top of the head. Of course, it's gonna be covered in more fabric. And then I think it'll be done. I will need something to fasten the bottom. I think I might want to do an elastic, maybe more of this ribbon, although I think this is maybe a little wide. Let's get this done. I'm gonna cover it in fabric. I have plenty left, luckily. And then we can finally get this done. We have ourselves a costume. We have the leaf cloak and we have the flower hat. I just think this is so adorable. Absolutely love it. Cannot wait to see him in this. This I made in an hour. This was the simplest thing, one of the simplest things I've ever sewn, and it's so cute. I'm gonna actually put it on for you. So yeah, as I mentioned, I meant for this to kind of cross underneath his arms, either crisscross in the front or just go straight under the arms and then tie here in the back. And then the hat has a little elastic so that it doesn't fall off. Isn't it just the cutest? I adore it, and this was so much fun to do. I'm so excited for when he gets older and starts requesting costume. If you would like to make this costume for any children in your life, please go ahead. It's so much fun to make. I don't have any patterns, unfortunately. It was all free-handed, but of course I walk you through the whole process. So thank you so much for joining me on this little costume making adventure. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a lovely weekend ahead of you, and I will see you back here again next week.